Good morning. Welcome to today's webinar on There's No Delete Button. That's where we're going to start. We're just going to get into it. If you do have any questions, please let us know. And when we get to that section, I'll answer any of your questions that I can. And if I can't answer them, I'll follow up with you at another time. But we want to make sure that we dive in as I respect your time because we have a lot to go over today. So this webinar came from one simple idea. And it's really the whole reason that we're here and one of the whole reasons that people are confused with AI. And I want to let you know that when it comes to AI, there is no delete button. So for you, once patient data gets typed into a public AI tool, it's out there. You don't get a do-over. And here's the part where a lot of practices don't realize, or some of them just refuse to believe. Your team, especially like your front office team, possibly your accounting or billing team, they're already using AI. They're using it to help them with emails, or sometimes they could be using it for patient notes, using it for insurance information. They're trying to move faster to take care of patients so they can help and do more. I want you to let you know that they're not doing anything malicious, and I'm not trying to tell you that they are. They're just trying to work faster, more efficient, and better. They're trying to keep up with technology. But the tools that they're using were never meant for healthcare. And they're definitely not built for HIPAA compliance in mind. Okay, it doesn't really, AI for the most part doesn't care about HIPAA compliance because, it's not designed for that. It's designed to help users do whatever they really want to do. It's designed, and AI is specifically built to please somebody. So today, it isn't about if AI is coming. That ship's already sailed. Today is about control. How do you let your team move faster without putting patient data or your practice or your reputation at risk? And that's what we're going to walk through today. And here's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover three things. They're clear. It's simple. First, why public AI is a real risk. Not a year from now, not when regulation catches up, but right now, inside small practices. You may think, well, I'm too small. None of this matters. Look, small offices are the ones that are targeted more than the large offices. Okay, this is the truth. This is how it is with cybersecurity, and this is also how it is with AI. So right now, inside practices just like yours. So AI is that public risk. Second, how do we give your team a better, safer option? We don't want to shut down AI because if you shut down AI, they're going to find ways to use it. Your employees will find ways to use it, whether that's on their computers, on their phones. They're going to want to find a way to do their job easier. So just shutting it down is not what we want to do. We need something, your team needs something that they can actually use and something that won't put your HIPAA compliance at risk. And third, we're going to show it to you live. Not slides, not theory. I'm gonna walk you through our AI platform that is built for medical and dental practices so that you can see what it looks like in the real world. That's the part that I'm most excited to share with you today, and how is basically how this platform works in the real world. And so by the end of this, you're going to know two things: where your risk actually is today, and what a controlled, compliant version of AI looks like for your practice. That's the goal. So let's dive in. We're going to get to it. So let's talk about what can actually be keeping practices up at night, just like yours, what you're actually concerned with when it comes to the AI technology. This isn't theory. We're talking HIPAA compliance. We're talking audits, real liability. It's all rolled into one. And here's our problem. If you ask ChatGPT, that I guarantee people have on their phones, if not on their desktop, or any really public AI tool, if it's secure, if you ask it, am I secure? Is if this ChatGPT secure? It's going to tell you yes all day long. But in the real world, security comes down to three things. And if you ask it this, it's going to tell you it's not. It's called the AAA. Every cybersecurity firm, every MSP knows it. You guys Maybe you don't know about it, but this is what HIPAA is based on. It's authentication, it's authorization, and it's auditing. So it's basically, in real world terms, it's who has access, what were they allowed to see, what actually happened. The last one is called auditing, what actually happened. And this is where everything breaks. If you can't produce a report, you can't show exactly what was, what was in there, what was taken, how it's used. You can't do it. And if you can't show any sort of report about how your users are using AI, it's not secure. It doesn't matter what that AI marketing says. And today, the public tools your team is using, they cannot give you the level of visibility and control. And if you're using public tools, it's even using that to train itself. That's the gap. That's the security gap. So that's what turns into HIPAA violations, real liability if things go wrong. This is what's going to slow you down when you think about, can I use AI? And honestly, this should slow you down from wanting to actually adopt it. Because without control, you're hoping it's secure, right? You're hoping. And you've probably all heard that hope is not a strategy. What you need is ownership. You need to take control where your AI runs, how patient data is handled, and how every interaction, or within the majority of interactions, is tracked so that you can see that reporting. You want to see how AI has now changed the game when it comes to AI adoption. Because right now you are wondering how it's happening, right? You're wondering, you're hoping that it's secure. We're going to show you how you can prove it. So here's this slide. Like, I know that some of you, it may be nothing, you don't really concern yourself with it, but for medical practices or dental practices, you are required by law for HIPAA and be able to answer these checklists. Right now, there's not a whole lot of AI on your checklist yet. That's coming. That's probably coming sooner rather than later. I think that I'm going to see a lot of these this year when people go to renew their cybersecurity insurance. So you want to make sure that you can check yes to every one of these, and feel free to take a screenshot, or you can ask us and we can send you this checklist. You want to make sure that you can answer yes to these. Not I think so, not the vendor told me. I mean, can you prove it, or can your IT help you prove it? Can you prove that your AI keeps patient data inside your security boundary or inside your tenant? Okay. Can you prove you have audit logs so that HIPAA can review, that you can see, yes, I've got an audit log on how we're using this. Can you prove that your AI has SOC 2 compliance ready? Do you have a written AI usage policy, an acceptable use policy with AI built in, or even a separate AI policy that shows what you can and can't do with AI? You need to have that specifically, because all of, whether it's cybersecurity, insurance, or HIPAA, ask you not just is it enabled, it's do you have the policy and documentation that goes with that can prove it? Do your employees know, and have they signed something that says they can and can't use it in this way? So if that compliance check is the standard of what you are being judged on, this is how we meet it. So our AI tool is SOC 2 compliant, and that's one of the biggest things. There's no exceptions. Your team already knows it. The HIPAA knows if they say SOC 2 that it is compliant. Second, you have zero data retention. So patient data is never training an external model. That data stays yours to keep, and it's separated out. Then you have ability to get audit logs by requesting them. And then you also want to make sure, again, it's similar to what I said earlier, that there's a data boundary. Patient data never leaves your environment. It's encrypted and it's segmented. And then one thing's also important is a managed rollout. You want to make sure that AI is configured properly, it's deployed properly, and you have people that can support and help you with the AI adoption so that you're not just having tools all over the place, that everybody knows what is expected of them and what they have. And it's very important. So I'm going to ground this into real life. So there's three situations that really come with when it talks about AI and about the tools, because it's this is about what happens in your practice. It's one, it's how do you have a I guess I should say on this one, preface this differently, is these are situations that you don't need to hand off to AI. Everybody is coming on, well, AI is gonna do everything, it's gonna replace jobs. Look, it's not. These are situations that you're going to have that a person has to do, a real person has to do. And that is, if somebody comes in with a hard conversation, it's the client, you're going to need to have a person there that has guidance, that's able to help the person on a difficult situation. You're going to need to know if somebody comes in and says, "Hey, AI told me this." You're going to say, "Actually, no, that's wrong. Here's how we get it." And then AI is not a human. When somebody needs clarity, they want an actual real connection to a person. You're not going to hand that off to AI. You want a real person for that to handle it. So whether you're handing it off to AI, here's are the things that you want to say, okay, AI can help me do that. That is summarizing notes and meetings. It's drafting emails, patient communications as far as like texting, simple things like real just emailing. You want to look over that, but AI can help the monotony of making those emails. It can save you a lot of time. When you're comparing documents and finding difference between those documents, AI really helps a lot. If you're building checklists and things like that, AI does a fantastic job. If you're trying to pull key facts from certain documents or even uh, systems, AI can help you learn a system a lot faster than sometimes a human can, because with AI, you can ask it a million different questions and you don't feel bad about yourself for asking those questions. And it creates first drafts. One thing you don't want to do and hand off to AI is anything that is really using your voice. You always want to make sure that you're reading over those email drafts, that you're owning the outcome of AI. You can't just say AI has it and it's 100% right. You want to look over it and make sure it's right. This is a place where your SMEs or your experts, right? Your subject matter experts in your office are really going to shine, because it's taking the daily monotony of their task and it's going to give them the stuff that they're really good at, and that's judgment. They know what's right or wrong, but it's going to free up that 2 hours that it took or to go through documents and this, and it's going to say, okay, well, here it is, and they're going to be able to look and say, is that right? Is it not? Where do I want to go from here? That's where AI helps you. And that's what you keep. So that's what you either hand off or you keep to AI, right? Hope. So we've talked about risk, and we talked about how AI fits in your office, right? What you're going to hand off to it, what you're going to keep. So those soft skills, people connections, people that has your names you're keeping. But what are the hidden costs of AI? Is it just, let me just turn on a subscription? Well, not necessarily. You want to really think through this. And I want to go over these hidden costs with you. Stuff like subscription bleed and training overhead, that type of thing that people don't think of. The first is subscription bleed. So you're paying for tools that no one uses. So ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, all of these add up. And once you really start getting into the weeds with AI, you decide your office wants to adopt it, somebody's going to want to use something that others aren't. So then you're starting to pay for this service and that service. Like there's Pearl and Bola for dental practices. And then, okay, well, what does the front office need? Well, maybe they want to use Claude. Maybe they want, so it just keeps adding. And with this, it helps maybe one person, but does this subscription help your whole team? So that's something that you really need to think in consideration of, is how does this not just help me, how does this help my entire team? So that's where subscription bleed comes in because it really can get out of hand very quickly. And then you have training overhead if you have multiple tools. And nobody ever talks about that because every tool you use, if all of a sudden, I don't want to use ChatGPT, I want to use Claude. Well, all of a sudden, these platforms, even though they're very similar, how you prompt and how you ask and what they can do is often different. So that's training overhead. If you build agents or workflows in these programs, and then you switch from one to another, you're going to have to relearn how to do that, right? How to switch that over. And then you have adoption failure. If you have too many tools or you don't have a plan, a structured plan in place for AI adoption, people are just going to go back to doing it the way they've always done it because it's easier. There's always also going to be someone on your team that doesn't like AI for, a lot of different reasons. There are some reasons not to like AI, and that's okay. But if you have a plan and they know what's expected, there's less risk of failure. And we want to make sure that we're using AI because it's a tool. It's just like going to be just like your computer. It's just like your practice management software, whatever that is, Open Dental, Dentrix, whatever that is. Okay. It's just a tool. It's not replacing anybody. So, but people feel like it is there to replace them. So if they have too many tools and they don't understand these tools and there's not training for these tools, your adoption is going to fail and you're just going to be paying for AI and it's not going to get you anywhere. Data risk. If there's no written rules on what tools staff can use with what data, we already talked about that. There's going to be compliance issues. There's going to be HIPAA problems. You can't go through that if somebody's really finally audits you on HIPAA and you fail miserably. You have to have policies in place so that you can say, yes, I have a policy. Here it is. Finally, if you lock in, and I mentioned this a little before, if you lock in with just ChatGPT and they raise prices, you're just locked in. It's going to cost a whole lot to relearn or to redo those agents to somewhere else. AI moves so fast. 1 month something is the best, and as a AI influence might say, that the Claude is cooked or ChatGPT is cooked, and they're constantly trying to get you to switch. You don't want to lock into one. You really want to think about being LLM or large language model. Or you want to think about being agnostic. You want to be able to use different tools as they change because we're in the Wild West when it comes to AI. Things change and they change very quickly. And they change faster than anything I've seen in 25 years of technology. It is at an insane pace. Now, when it comes to AI, there's something that you have to think about. And really, when it comes to any technology, really any business decision, it really all comes down to one thing, right? It turns into a conversation on cost. What does this cost? Is it worth it? And I'll tell you straight, you're thinking about it wrong when it comes to AI right now. The AI is not about cost. The question is, what is it going to cost you to keep doing things the old way? Because your team is already doing the work that they're doing right now. They're using it. They're working. The thing is, can you make it faster? Because right now, the old way is now the slow way. So if you're manually writing patient notes, if you're handling the same patient communications over and over, if you're documenting visits one step at a time, you're pulling together information across systems. I mean, all of that work just adds time. It's just adding over and over and over again. So if you take like a 25-person practice, which is a pretty big practice, right? But it's just easier math for me. If you take that and you say, okay, $30 an hour fully loaded cost, you're looking at roughly $40,000 of time a year that can be recovered. Okay, this isn't theoretically because you're getting time back from that savings, right? So if you double the team size, that net number doubles. And now here's where it gets even more real. Clinical documentation, patient note, internal reporting. Let's say you're not saving just a little bit of time. All of a sudden you're saving 2 or 3 hours. You get that 2 or 3 hours under one. That's a tremendous amount of time that you're getting back. So it's not about buying AI and using it to make money. It's about removing some of those tasks to work more efficiently, right? It's about removing friction that's slowing your team down every single day. And most of the businesses we work with, they start seeing this time savings within those first 90 days. And not because AI is magic, even though sometimes it feels like magic. I mean, there, sometimes it doesn't, but there's a lot of times it feels like magic. But it's the work they're doing. It's already there that you're saving that time on. You're just making it easier to compile that so that they can use their judgment to make better, quicker decisions. They're doing it smarter. So we've covered a lot so far, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to one decision. Do you want controlled AI or do you want chaos? Because without a sanctioned platform, this is what happens. You get multiple tools, you have no visibility of what's being done, and you can't track data that's moving around in ways that you have no idea about. And your team is figuring all of this out on their own. This is where your risk shows up. Where a sanctioned platform is going to fix that. They're going to have a tool that everyone uses so they can talk about it with each other, learn from each other. You know, that's what's going to allow you to move faster because, well, it's not just ChatGPT, it's not just Claude. It's, oh, I got to speak quietly because I don't want people to know I'm using this. Everybody's going to know that it's usable and what has to be used. It's a clear vision, it's clear visibility into what's happening. Your data stays where it belongs, safely and secure and separated out from everybody on the internet, right? Your data is not ChatGPT is not using your data to train itself. Claude's not using your data to train itself. It's secured. Okay. Only it's staying behind. It's not being trained. It's secure. You're not sharing information to the entire internet. So your data is staying where it belongs. And you want to make sure that you're getting a rollout that actually works because somebody owns it. Okay. That's it. Real IT is going to own that rollout as we show your team how to do it. So let's explain why that matters. Okay. And so when you work with us, you're not just getting real IT. Okay. You're getting access to a whole group and a whole thing of companies with AI knowledge. You're getting access to something bigger. So we're a part of a national MSP AI alliance called the Forge. That means it isn't just Grand Rapids. It's not even just West Michigan. This is MSPs or your service providers from across the country that are working together with the same questions you are now. We are struggling sometimes with how AI should be used. So how do we use AI safely? We talk about that. Where does it actually help? What's working in AI, what's not? And instead of figuring that out alone, you're plugging into a network so that when some practice solves something, you benefit from it as well. So when another practice runs into a problem, you're able to avoid it. And that's really one of the things that when you go with us and you're not going it alone, you're going with other people that can help. So that's what office hours and user groups are about. It's about real conversations. We're talking real use cases, real world experience from people doing the same thing you are. And over time, that compounds because people are using it more. You're learning. There's mind shifts going on through this entire process because now you're not learning at your own pace anymore. You're learning at the pace of dozens of other practices combined. That's the advantage. It's not just a platform. It's this network of knowledge that's behind the platform. Right. So let's do my favorite thing here. We're really good on time, it looks like. So we're going to talk about a live demo. I'm not doing no mock-ups, no magic tricks. I'm going to show you how I do this every single day. So what I need to do is share the right screen. 1 second. So this is our training platform. This is our AI platform. Okay. And it is built for security. And I want to start. This is what when you log into it, this is where it first goes. But when it comes to AI, 90% of your time in AI is going to spend in chat. Okay. So that's where we're going to start today. We're going to start in chat. So I'm going to show you what makes this platform different from ChatGPT, Claude, all the other single LLMs. Because this LLM, and I should start that, it stands for large language model. So that is, you hear things called Claude. You hear a popular one is ChatGPT. Another one is Google's Gemini. Okay, you can buy these LLMs individually. Now, our platform has, last count, 71 different LLMs. Each one of them is has pros and cons to it. But you can see there's Anthropic, that's Claude. There's OpenAI, there's which is ChatGPT. There's Google. There's anyway. There is a lot of different ones. Each is better. Some are more cheaper when it comes to tokens usage. Um, you know, some are better for code. All kinds of different things. Okay. Now, this, when I was first starting to use it, was very overwhelming. How do you know which model is best for what? And I earlier this year, I even had a lunch and learn on which model you should use for what. What's great about this platform is there's constant updates. So you no longer really have to know that. You can just select what model is the best for my question that I have. And there's three modes depending on which one you think is more important for you. So this platform isn't built on a user basis like some of the other ones are. Like Claude Teams has 5 users plus you pay for tokens. This is built on purely token usage. So your entire practice will have access to this if you want to give them access to it. Sometimes you may not want to give some people access. So that's up to you, but your whole office can have access to this. So tokens cost, depending on the model, different. So if you use a premium model that like the newest, it's going to be more expensive. So if you want the latest and greatest, you can go turbo, saying, hey, I'm going to choose a plan that is super expensive because it allows me to do something. You can say performance, where I want to use the best model, but I want you to rein yourself in. Just use the best model for performance. Don't go too crazy, but you can don't go too inexpensive as well. I need something specifically for this job. Or if you know, you can if you want I want something a reasonable tokens because I'm not asking something hard. So this most of the time if you're asking ChatGPT a question or you're asking it to rewrite documents, you're going to choose light. If you're asking it to actually build a spreadsheet or something to that, then you might want to go performance. But I do think that there is benefits to knowing what model is the best. So I do want to go over that because I want to show you the power of this tool. And this is the best way to show you. So I'm going to actually turn off the auto model selection. And I'm going to view all. So remember how I told you that each one is better at something. The first thing that I'm going to do is something that I find that I do every day, and that is research some sort of topic to help me get better at it or to explain that to someone else. So we're going to use, I'm going to ask it here. Well, maybe I don't know. So I'm going to say research and analysis. I will tell you that I know that Gemini is the nerd of the AI group. It is great at organization. It is great at analyzing everything. Why? Because that's what Google cares about. So it takes on its creator's thought process or its structure. So right now, I'm just going to put in a prompt here that I've already written out. I'm going to paste it in there. You're like, some of you may be like, hey, this is a crazy long prompt. Does anybody prompt like this? I still do because I like AI hallucinates if you don't tell it exactly what to do. So I want to make sure I use something called crafted, but the important thing is make sure you're giving your prompt context. Make sure it knows what you want outputted. Those are the two most important things. All right. And tell it exactly what you want and what you don't want, what its requirements for success are. So right now I'm just going to give it a prompt. And here's where something is cool as well that you don't get in the other models. And that's called tools. Some of y'all might have heard of Perplexity. It's like it's AI search. It's AI Google search on steroids. It's fantastic. So this actually, you can buy this separately. If you were to get Claude, you might want Perplexity separately. It also has Tavly and Exa. And what is this? Again, these are more just search tools. That these are just better, more in-depth ones. So I'm going to check all of these because my research is the most important thing that I'm looking for right now. Now, another thing you can do is it has auto tool, but I wanted to show you the different types of tools it has and go over that. Because when you're using it, sometimes knowing the tool that you're going to use actually works better. But auto tool works great too. Again, is this being a learning demo? I want to show you what it can do and explain why. That's what's important, at least for this specific thing. So it's looking for this research. And what I like about this and this platform is it tells you how it's thinking instead of just a preparing. It's saying, oh, I'm using Google search and here's what I'm searching. I'm scraping. What am I doing? You're looking at, oh, OSHA dentistry. Look at that. HIPAA journal, Michigan. I mean, you see what it's actually doing and how it's doing that. And it's just going to go through in here and it's preparing it. So it's refining it. And I actually, so this is a live demo. I actually copied the wrong, no, maybe I didn't. Let's see what I asked it to do here. No, I actually gave it the wrong prompt. Look, live and learn. Let's give it the right prompt here. Uh, when you do that, that's okay. Sometimes it happens. So let's give it the wrong prompt. I wanted it to do my research first and I skipped ahead. So that's on me. But again, we're going to do the exact same thing. Going to take off my auto because I set that as our company's default. I'm going to uncheck it and let's go back to Perplexity. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. View all models, research and analysis, Gemini. We're going to select those tools again. What did I tell you? Perplexity, Tavly, Exa. It's a live demo. Accidents happen, and that's okay. It's like Bob Ross says, just a happy little accident. So we're going to let it generate this. Now that's better. I didn't think that looked right. It's refining our focus now. It's clarifying directives. That's how I knew it was wrong. Is when I was looking at the thought process, I was like, that thought's not right. Why is it using this? I didn't ask it to do that. So now this is much better. Say it's using Tavly search. Now look at that. Now it got us what we needed. It got us the sources. That's what we wanted to see, the sources that it's going through. All of that. That's awesome. Now we can do the next thing and the right what we wanted to do. And that is I do a lot of presentations. Maybe some of you don't, but I wanted to show you what that looks like because I need to communicate this information to somebody to make it make sense. So I'm going to use ChatGPT, ChatGPT 5.4. You saw when I clicked it, it's something I use fairly often. Um, it's a more lightweight GPT. It does have the 5.5, but for what I'm doing, I don't need that. the next tool I want to select is I'm going to make this specifically for our area. So I want to add Google search and I want to add Google Maps because now I'm starting to think, well, what about other ones? What about how am I going to differentiate in my specific area? So again, I'm going to have it create a seven. I'm going to have say I want you to create a 7-slide presentation outline that explains the insights to our team in a clear and practical way. Because I know a lot of offices have monthly training sessions in the morning before work starts, right? Or you set off that you're going to open your office an hour later than normal and talk about things. This, if you are doing somebody who does that, because I know a lot of offices do that, this is something that's going to make your life easier. So here you go. You see it added a 7-page slideshow. Now, I just did the outline and I'm going to show you some. I'm not going to do it because it sometimes takes a longer time and I don't want y'all just to sit there looking, but I'm going to show you another thing it can do is I can click voice input. Actually, let's stop that real quick. Is we're going to change our tools now. Now you can do code execution, or I actually have Microsoft 365 connected, and I'm going to create a presentation. So what I can do here is I can say, use the above slideshow outline to create a PowerPoint presentation. And if I click send, it's going to send that. But look, I didn't have to type anything. It took my voice. Now, again, I said I'm not going to do that because that can take 10 minutes, and I don't want you just to look at what I'm doing for 10 minutes. However, I did do it earlier, so I'm going to show you what it did. So it did the research and it created the outline, and then it took this 10 minutes. Now, did I stay and watch it spin for 10 minutes? No, I did something else. So all in, you saw exactly how long that took me. It did not really take me long to create some sort of presentation that I can overlook or that I can look and I can edit if I need to. If you want to be even better, if you have a brand guide, tell it use my brand guide for my colors and it will 100% do that. So that's something that I do on a daily basis, and some of you do on a daily basis. How long does it take you to prepare that slideshow every month? That's time saved now. Now, I want to show, let me see. So now that you have that done, what's the next thing? Maybe it's that you email somebody. Like for me, it's maybe I email the owner like, hey, this is what we talked about today. So maybe the doctor doesn't come to that presentation and it's you as the office manager that's doing it. You can set up an email, or maybe you want to go over this presentation with the entire staff. So you need an email of what you went over. That would be the next step, right? So what we can do, and I'm going to try and show you this later as well, is earlier you saw me click on the wrong thing, but now I'm not going to. I've created a Donald voice agent. My Donald voice agent talks in my accent from Texas. It's going to say things like y'all and fixin' to and all those fun words. It's going to sound like me because most people say, well, that sounds like AI. You can make AI not sound like AI by giving it a personality. And that's what I've done. I've given it a Donald's personality. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to prompt it and ask it to create an email for me. Now, one quick thing, this platform cannot email for you. It can save it into your Outlook drafts folder for you to look over and read. And I know that some people are like, well, I want it to email me. I want it to email for me because I know AI can do that. I'm a big fan of something called human in the loop. I don't think you need to have AI send out your emails for you. I think you need to review them and make sure that it sounds like you and that it's relevant and then send it. Even the founder of OpenAI came back here recently and said, you know what? I was wrong. I used to have it do all this for me and it was doing things incorrectly. I took that back. Even the owner of the largest AI company in the world, is saying, you know what, I don't want it to automatically send emails. I want it to do drafts so that I can overlook this and make sure it's actually sounds like me and it's relevant. So I do really strongly believe in human in the loop and making sure anything that you send out to anyone is going to sound like you and it's going to be what you want it to say. Because, AI is not going to be the one that gets in trouble. You're going to be the one that gets in trouble. So anyway, you saw how quickly this was. I can't show you what it does in my Outlook. I don't have a demo Outlook template set up, but know that this, exactly what you see, has now been sent to the drafts folder in Outlook for me. So you don't even have to copy and paste it. It's there. You just have to look over it, edit, and click send. So all of that was done very quickly. And I want to show you now something that I think is amazing. So even now, even how much time that saved you, we can still save you more time. Well, how do we do that? We can create something called workflows in Hatz. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a better model. So I can do that. Actually, let's come up here. Remember I told you that auto selection? Let's do a performance. Now I'm going to choose a different tool. What tool am I going to choose? Well, this is called Hatz. Hatz can help you build agents and apps and automations without you having to know how to do it. You do not have to be a programmer or a prompt engineer. You can be a regular person that tells it, I want to do this. So I'm telling it, take everything that we did above, and I want you to create a workflow. And all I got to do is send it. Now, this is going to start building. Again, look, and now it's routed it to Claude 4.6, one of the newer Claude models, but not the newest one, because it's like, no, this one is more than enough power to do what I want it to do. Again, sometimes this may take 10 minutes or so to do. So I went ahead and I did this already. So I want to go back into Hatz, and I'm going to go into something called the workshop. The workshop is all the apps and the agents and all those automations that you've created. If I click on my items, it's going to see all the stuff that I've created. You can see, look, it's creating one right now. This is the draft. Here's one I created earlier. So let's open this one that I created earlier. Look, now all I have to do is I can say the name of the office manager. Like I say, it's going to be to me. What department does this affect? I'm going to say let's say it's reception. It is customer contact, customer follow-up. Then I answer it, I say generate, and it's taking all those prompts I walked you through earlier, and it's doing them. Now, again, I did not add in the PowerPoint here, but you could easily do that here. So again, this may take a little while to do. So let's go back into Hats. I'm going to show you what this did earlier. And yeah, I could do tabs. It's just sometimes our sometimes if I do like the control tab to get it open up there, it doesn't always work. And I want that to go through. So anyway, let's open it back up. I'm in workshop. Now I'm going to go back to my items and look at my items. I have I have favorites if I just want to have some favorites. Now I have run history. This shows you what has been done. Look, I completed this about an hour ago. Now I can show you what that looks like. And look, here it is. Here's all of that we did. There's the research. We scroll down. Here is, I just copied it, hit the wrong button. There's maximize. It has the whole presentation or the presentation outline. If I had it create the actual PowerPoint, it would be underneath that. Let's see if I can click this right button. There we go. There's the draft saved to Outlook. I can click view draft in Outlook. It's going to open up my Outlook calendar. It's going to open up my Outlook app to that draft so that I can see it. Because what does the email cover? It tells me. Simple. Let's see. We'll just refresh it and we'll see if it's done yet. It may still be in progress. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but so again, it takes a little bit of time, but nothing out of the ordinary. We're still running pretty good on time. So I think the next thing I want to quickly show you is, remember I talked about the Donald voice agent. Let's show you how that's created. Again, we're here in Workshop. We can create an agent by clicking on agent. So what is an agent? This is used all the time. Some people can say it's agentic. When I'm talking agent in this platform, I'm really talking about a chat bot. So where this is really handy for a lot of, I would say small medical offices, dental offices, is a lot of time, a lot of people are migrating away from, say, Dentrix to Open Dental. I get that quite often. Well, what we've done is we've created an agent that specifically says how do I go from Dentrix to Open Dental? Create me a how-to on how to do that. So let's do that. Let's call our agent. Let's call it Open Dental Migration, or let's call it Open Dental Assistant. Now, what I call is I don't have to fill all of this stuff out. I can say, what do I want this to do? And I can ask it to help me create the agent. So I'll just say our office is migrating from Dentrix to Open Dental. I need to create an agent that helps the staff with common questions that will occur during this migration and the difference and how to do those same functions as we switch. And I'm going to ask it that you can talk like a human. You don't have to do that hardcore prompting like I do. Like I said, oftentimes the best thing to do is to give it context. Now, I'm a terrible typer, terrible at grammar, and that's okay. AI is gonna fix that problem. That's why I love AI so much. My biggest weakness is now a strength. So look what it's telling me. You're an Open Dental Assistant, internal support agent for our office, migrating from Dentrix to Open Dental. Now all I have to do is I click Apply to Instructions, and it's right there. Uh, we can say the greeting message. Or how can I help you with Open Dental? And sometimes that's important to do the greeting message there, just so people know how to use it. Some people like to put instructions in this that tells them, but that's fine. What model do I want to use? Well, this is just a simple model. So I'm going to say lie. It's just answering questions. So do I want to add any sources? Do you have any Open Dental uh, white papers? I guarantee you can get some online. So you can add all of those. I'm going to say you can do auto tool, but sometimes that's too much. Maybe all you really want it to do is Perplexity, Tably, and Exa. Then to create it, all we got to do is click Create Agent, and it's there. Let's say you're like, well, I'm not sure if this is great. Maybe I can say, um, maybe I say, well, can you suggest any improvements? It's going to think for a minute. It should generate something fairly quickly. There's a little bit of spinning in this. It's not quite as friendly as the other, but you could actually have done this in the prompt as well. So it's saying, okay, yeah, let's see areas for improvement, improve version. Like, okay, you can read through this. Does that look good? If it does, you can say apply. You can take your personalization. Let's say you want to give it a different personality, because this is just using your company's person or your personalization. If you did your own, it will sound like that person. Let's say I want to take that off, and let's say add. Maybe I'm gonna give some personality. I like adding my agents giving pop culture references. Again, so it's gonna like, okay, who's my demographic? You think about who your demographic that you're teaching, because people learn better when it's their language. So for me, I might have Star Trek and sports or Star Wars and sports. I like sports. But for you, for someone else, it may not be that. It may be a different. So look, it loves that idea. I'm gonna give it some uh some different types of behavior. Again, all I got to do is apply the instructions and update agent. Okay. And it's as easy as that. When you go to use it, all you got to do is click chat. You can find your model, my agent. Then you have open a dental. How do I add a new patient? And it's going to go. It's as simple as that. And you just created your first chatbot all within that amount of time. It's absolutely amazing. All right. I'm gonna let it generate, but you kind of see what it did. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to share my other screen as we get moved. Oh, let's see. Here it is. How to do it. Look, it gave us the how to, a few things to consider, and a note. Look how quickly, all of a sudden, you don't have to call Open Dental. You don't have to call your IT. You can try this first. How much time does that save you? That's what we're in the business of doing, right? Automations and time savings when it comes to AI. That's the ROI. All right, now we got a few more slides to get through, but we should be doing fairly decent on time. I may have gone a little bit too long on the demo, as I often do, but that's okay. Um, all right, I did not share that screen, so let me make sure that I do that. Perfect. Okay, so a lot of times this is where people struggle. They turn the tool on and they hope it works. We don't do that. We're not going to do that with you. We want to understand where your team is so that we can set everything up the right way. We're going to use real use cases for your business so that you can apply that almost immediately. If this isn't just a login and a YouTube link, we're going to help you. This AI platform has training built into it, as well as depending on the package you get to, we have training with you and your team. Okay. I'm a systems guy. I've been a systems guy for my almost my entire career. That's why I'm in IT really. Um, we give you a structured onboarding that we've done lots of times and that actually leads to adoption. And that comes with a crawl, walk, and run method. The first 30 days, we're crawling. We're getting you access. We're starting to train you. And, we're telling you what works. And then we're going to start walking, and then we're going to run. And where we're actually automating, we're scaling, we're doing all that kind of stuff. And again, some of this honestly depends on your package and what we're going to do. But this is where we like to be. This is where we want to go. We're helping you through this process the right way. And at the end of all of this, this is where you're going to land. You're not guessing anymore. You're not worried about compliance. You're not chasing your team to adopt the tools you spent hard money on. You've got one platform that an auditor will understand. You have clear rules your team's going to follow, and you're going to have real usage happening across your entire office. This is the goal. This is AI without that dramatic risk. This is adoption without chaos. So if this makes sense to you, here's what the actual next steps look like. You pick the starting point or your package. You don't want to go with the biggest package first. The most expensive option. Do not do that. You want to find what fits you today, right? And we can work with you on that. Second, we schedule your foundation kickoff. This is where we sit down together and we map out those first 30 days, not theory, not ideas. We're helping you map where you want to go. We're giving you real practical wins your team can start using right away. Low-hanging fruit, possibly. Stuff that's going to actually save you time and get people on board. And third, we're going to handle the rest. We handle the configuration, the deployment, support. You're not struggling trying to figure this out on your own. It's not some big risky rollout. It's a structured start with clear first steps. Now I'm going to show you what these packages look like, but I want to be clear that nobody makes this decision on their own. We're going to help you. This is something that we're going to walk through together. And I'll tell you that most practices land somewhere in the middle. It's going to be enough access for the team that you want to do with enough support to drive adoption and room to grow into it. Because the goal isn't us to get you to overbuy. We want to start getting momentum so that we can get your team. Maybe you don't want your whole team. Maybe you just want a couple of early adopters. That's typically what works best, is to get people who are excited to use it, because excitement is contagious. Just like, hey, negativity is contagious. So get the people who are excited about it first. And we expand from there in a way that makes sense. So don't get hung up on the tiers today. We can help you get the right fit for your team, depending, and then that way we can move. Right? The bottom line that I want you to know in this entire presentation is, look, your team is using AI. The only question is, do you want it to happen in a way that you can control, or do you want them to do it secretly so that you don't know? Okay, that is the biggest thing. They're going to use it. Do you want them to say, no, you need to use this tool, and give them something that's amazing, and train them in a way that, yeah, they are confident in using it, that they're not going to use something that is outside your practice. And even if you decide you don't want to use AI, which I don't recommend, you at least need to have those policies in place that tell you, yeah, you can use AI, no, you can't. That is something that is important. You should have a policy either way. But if you have a policy, they're probably still going to use their phones. We're seeing it. So I'm going to leave you with this at the end of the day. This isn't really about AI to me. This is about confidence. Confidence that your team is using the right tools the right way without putting your clients or your firm at risk. Because whether we like it or not, again, AI is already being used. The only question is, are you in control of it? Or are you hoping that it's the right way? And remember, hope is not a strategy. This is the gap I'm trying to help you solve. So you can move forward with confidence for your team and your clients. I hope this was informative. If you do have any questions, please feel free to contact me. My name's Donald MacArthur. I'm the Chief AI Officer here at Real IT Solutions. We're here to help if you want more of a one-on-one feel and have specific questions you'd like to help me solve, or you would like me to help you solve, please feel free in contacting me. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.